Hi everyone, Shane here, motorcycles and things. Thanks for dropping by. Today is a photographic style, well, it's an item sort of overview. I won't call it full-on review of a lens that I recently bought. And back in the day when I was using things like this is what I started off with when I was 20. 40 years ago, I'm 60, so 40 years ago when I was using the likes of this thing, long before the internet. I went through the whole model of these, a B100, a BCA, and an MTL3, MTL5. I've not got any of those cameras. This needs a good clean. It's a bit dusty, but they went years and years ago, those cameras, and then I progressed to the latest new thing at the time in the late 80s or early 90s, I'm not sure which was a Minolta with autofocus and program modes and all sorts. It was quite advanced for its time. But anyway, today's video is this lens that I've recently acquired. Got it off eBay. I apologise for a dog barking in the background. I'm in my garden. It was all quiet when I came out to do this video. But purchased this off eBay. I think it was £69.99 plus the postage. It worked out to be £73 delivered to the door in this sort of leather effect style pouch. I will show you the lens in one moment. Yeah, back in the day, I remember long before the internet seeing cathropedic mirror lenses. They've been called quite a few things in the time, but I remember reading advertisements and seeing advertisements in Photo Weekly and Amateur Photographer and those magazines that I used to get back in the day. And I was bringing up a young family at the time, and I couldn't afford sort of luxuries after paying the bills and everything, being only a young chap of 20 with a family. I started young. Let's have a look at this lens. So I always looked at these and often wondered how good they were or how bad they were with these so-called donut effect bokeh in the background. So when I saw this, I made a bit of an impulse buy. I usually work things back to front. I hit to buy it now, paid for it, and then started reading reviews that night, and the reviews didn't look very promising. So I thought, oh well, if it's rubbish, it'll make a good ornament, something to look at. So it's an f500mm, 72mm filter thread there, and it's a fixed aperture of f8, totally manual focus. Now I don't know if this is, it was advertised as brand new. One side of me thinks it's probably brand new old stock from the 80s, as opposed to brand new made in the last couple of years. So I don't know, but I do know from what I've read there wasn't many reviews on this and they didn't look too promising, and people's general census was get yourself a half decent sort of 400mm normal telephoto style or zoom lens, and then just zoom in on part of the image to increase its size. Would be a far better bet than actually buying one of these lenses because they're that poor quality. But on receiving this, it came in a brown cardboard, plain brown box, and then I opened it. It was well packaged, and the lens was in this. Now, included in the lens was the fitment, the adapter for my camera, which is a Panasonic Lumix G9. So the first thing I did was try it on the camera. Obviously there's no electrical contacts, so I stuck the camera in total manual. I suppose you could stick it in shutter priority. I've never tried it. I'll just leave it in manual. And my camera's got stabilisation built into the body, so I have actually handheld it. It is slightly difficult to stop yourself breathing for a moment and try and get yourself in a position where you'll see some pictures as I'm going. 99% of the pictures you see are all handheld. Sadly, I suppose I could look at them if I get time and this video goes to plan. I'll look at the metadata when I'm on my editing software. I'm not sure, obviously it'll say f8. I do know that some of the pictures were took at 3/20th of a second shutter speed, handheld. So my good old G9, my Lumix G9 did a good job at stabilising the video, well, sorry, the pictures, as it were. But when I took this, horrible screeching noise, when I took this adapter off, and it's made by Fotka, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, Fotka. Removing this adapter that came with the lens, I was astonished to find, I'll show you, I will actually put a picture up because you're not going to see this very clear on this camera, but I was astonished to find it has actually got a UV, sorry, not a UV, a skylight filter. It says KM 500 30.5mm skylight 1A. So it's got a skylight filter put in, well, screwed into the back end of the lens. So I didn't, that's a bonus because I didn't know I was going to get that. So I was like a young kid opening a toy when I got this. I'll tell you, I was that intrigued to find out how bad it was going to be, because from the few articles that I could find that I actually read, it didn't sound very promising. However, since using it, I'll let you come to your own conclusion at the end of the video, whatever you think in your mind is good enough for you, whether you would buy this lens or not for £70. It's quite lightweight. I haven't weighed it, but if I can find any figures, I'll put them on screen while I'm talking. It's quite lightweight. It's quite short, because a 500mm telephoto lens or zoom lens is going to be a bit of a whopper. So there's a lot of advantages, and also there's a lot of disadvantages, in the sense that you'll be able to take photographs quite easily of static birds in trees or on the ground, but actually flying would be another thing to be quick enough to focus, and there'd be a look of, well, there'd be a very large element of look in what was in focus and what was out of focus. But as I say, I apologise about the noise. There's kids in the garden. But it says lens made in Korea, and then it's got macro markings in bright orange of 1.27, 1.30, 1.33, etc., right up to 1.43. But it certainly looks brand new. All the glass elements are very clean, no marks on anything. Now when I got the lens, I was very impatient. I wasn't even dressed. I answered the door in my dressing gown and my pyjamas, and I got the lens on the camera, and I went 45-degree angle to the window, the back bedroom window. I couldn't really focus on anything that I've got in this garden because it was too close, but I did take some cheeky shots in the neighbour's garden of garden ornaments, things like that. While I'm talking, I'll put them on screen. And then desperately got back and turned my computer on and downloaded the images. And to be quite honest, I had to increase, because of the shooting through the glass at an angle, I had to increase the contrast. I'll probably altered the brightness. I'll probably lowered the brightness and altered the contrast a little bit. So these pictures you're going to see have been fiddled with, but not by a lot. I haven't sharpened them up or done anything else other than the contrast. So I did a little flower pots, and I did what looked like a metal butterfly. I was quite impressed with them, considering I was hand holding the camera and I was inside a dark room and it was an overcast dull day, and that was handheld. So then when the wife came home from work, we went to a place called Coombe Abbey, and it's got a massive lake, lovely old building. It's an abbey. If you look it up on the internet, you can stay there in the hotel. It's a fantastic sort of place. I don't know any real history on it. I've been to it lots and lots of times. I only live about 6 or 7 miles away, so the only thing you have to pay for is for your parking of your vehicle. That's it, which is unusual in this day and age, that you can go out somewhere and have a good 2-hour walk with your dog whilst taking loads of photos. So it's renowned for herons. There's a little birds observation hut, and I've sat in there on numerous times, but I didn't realise at the age of 60, I thought I knew a little bit about birds, but it appears that I really don't know hardly anything about the things as much as I did I found out that it's the molting time that birds hide away to grow new feathers for their winter plumage. So my garden's been scarce of any wildlife lately. I've only seen one pigeon in the last 2 weeks. That's the answer. I discovered that on YouTube totally by accident. So even when you're an old devil like me, 60, you can. There's still a lot to be learnt. But so I took a picture of the heron, and he was at least 200 meters away from where I stood. And the tripod was actually next to me. I was in that much of a rush to get this only one heron I saw. I didn't, my brain didn't slow down enough to say, put your camera on the tripod. So that's a handheld shot. Can't remember what speed the shutter was at. And I know I was using a high ISO because the camera, ISO, yeah, because the camera was on an auto ISO. I'm still in the olden days where they used ASA. So, cameras like this, they'd have an ASA value or a DIN value for your film speed. So I'm doing conversions in my head while I'm talking. Yeah, so then I went into the bird's observation, and then I took this picture. Again, another heron. They were the only 2 herons that I saw all that day. It was a very overcast day, and when you're in the wooded section, it's not dark enough that you can't see where you're walking, but certainly not good for taking pictures. But well, yeah, as I'm talking, I will show lots of pictures on screen. I haven't messed with them other than contrast and brightness. I haven't touched anything else. I use a program called Darktable that's free, and I've watched a few videos. I need to watch a lot more videos because I was brought up, take your time, take your picture, because it's going to cost you a lot of money. Whereas obviously now you can set your camera, fire off like a machine gun, take loads of pictures, look at your screen on the back and go, oh no, they're all underexposed or whatever. You've got an instant preview, which in my day you tended to think a little bit more about your composition and situations of backlighting and such like, and compensating with your camera in your brain. Whereas nowadays it's easier just to shoot your camera and go, oh no, they're a bit dark or they're a bit light. But anyway, while I've been yabbling on, hopefully of the photos that I've shown you on screen, you'll have come to a conclusion whether you would buy one of these lenses. And the moral to the story is, don't read a few people's, I mean obviously if you've got a Leica lens that's pin sharp and everything else and cost you an arm and a leg, this is going to be, well, this is going to be bin fodder, I guess. But I'm not a millionaire. I have to watch the pennies, and I've had a lot to pay out for lately, photographic stuff, because I haven't constantly been into my photography over the years. I've had spells where I've lost interest in it, and more often than not I get rid of all my stuff and leave it for a couple of years. It goes dormant, and then some little fuse must burst in my head and oh, I need a decent camera. And as time moves on, then you're in a minefield at the moment. Do I get a mirrorless camera? Do I get a full frame? Do I get a micro 4/3? Blah, you know, the story goes on, doesn't it? So I will do some more reviews. I've just recently bought a nice tripod for just over £100, I think it was. I've got a couple of weddings coming up next year. My youngest son's getting married, so and my wife's friend at work's getting married, so I've got a couple of weddings to do. There's no pressure because I'm not charging, obviously I'm not charging any money, and it will give me an opportunity to flex my my photographic skills, because I've already done 5 weddings in the past. Over the past 20 years I've done, it might be 6 weddings, I'm not sure, but I've always been happy with the results, because it's not a thing you can repeat if you get something wrong. But anyhow, thanks for looking at this video, and I'll put a couple of photographic related videos up. I recently bought a 25mm f1.7 Panasonic lens for my G9, so I might do a video on that. I'm not sure. I haven't really used the lens, and to be fair, I think it's going to be a waste of money. It's not something I'm going to use very often. But thanks for watching. Thumbs up if you don't mind. Any comments, I'll try and reply. Well, I will reply to any comments. It's only a small channel, this one. But I've also got another channel on YouTube that's been on for 3 or 4 years. I've got a couple of thousand subscribers on that. It's air rifles, so I keep buying photographic equipment to help me focus on the charts and the targets. But anyhow, thanks for looking. Take care, everyone. Another one coming soon. Bye for now.